Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Daryl Talks podcast. Today, I have got one of my favourite people on this planet.
Oh, thank you.
On the show, I've got Teresa Dolley. She basically mothered me for nigh on 10 years. And even after she left, she carried on mothering me. She did my wedding cake. But more than that, what she does for people in Cornwall, people in Plymouth, is fantastic. So we are here to listen to her story. So without further ado, welcome, Teresa.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
How good was that intro?
Excellent.
I have been thinking about that all day.
That is lovely.
I've been excited.
You're one of my favourite boys too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. However, is there a new favourite boy now with your daughter's partner?
Now, my favourite boy now is Joey, my horse out there. Sorry, John, hubby. No.
Never have I arrived to do an episode and I've been scared for my life. My headlights are just staring at this horse staring back at me.
Oh, Joey is sweet. I've had horses since I was 8 years old.
So before we start, we usually do a few icebreaker questions.
Okay.
So my first question to you, Dolly, is what is your biggest ick? So an ick is something that really grates on you that might not grate on everybody.
Quite a few things, actually. Depends what sort of mood I'm in. I hate people that...
Do you just hate people?
No.
What a great...
No, it's just some people that you just talk to them and they think they know everything and I'm thinking they don't and they just don't give the time of day and that really winds me up.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think if you don't know anybody who's like that, it's probably you, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. I like people to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
Second question is, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Sweet Child of Mine.
Guns N' Roses?
Guns N' Roses. Oh, yes. That's on John's ringtone on the phone.
Yeah.
But I also have two. It's Bryan Adams, Summer 69.
That's mine and my dad's.
Absolutely.
Mine and my dad's karaoke
Brilliant.
song. That is.
Love it.
Third and final question is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Not Iron Man, Iron Woman, right? And you can go along and all the little nasty devils in this country are doing things to people. It's just grab them all up the planet and that's it. That'd be my superpower.
Oh, so not
Make everyone safe and happy.
not keeping everybody closed without creases.
Nope. I would absolutely dismantle all the people. Thank you.
So let's get into it. Teresa Dolley, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm a mental health counsellor. I've always been a counsellor since 2009. Always had a passion for it. But I'm also a Live West housing manager, part-time, which I manage a retirement complex at Lou.
Oh my God.
Because I am actually retired early at 60 from Waitrose. And then I went to part-time with Live West. But as you know, counselling I started in 2009, very passionate with that and still passionate with that. And this is why that all was built here.
So where we are currently sat is this lovely, would you call it a hut? Do you call it a hut? A cabin, sorry.
Wooden cabin.
It's a wooden cabin. It is in the middle of nowhere, but it's just like fields all around. Massive great horse, which I was kindly told that it's not that big.
No, it's not that big.
Which makes me worry about Teresa. And it is just fantastic and it's peaceful.
And that is the whole thing, is when you're in a bad place, you come here. You haven't got to say anything. You can talk over a cuppa. We have got an orchard, views, and it's just, you can just sit here and just melt away. And
I definitely will be coming out here in the summer. Well, obviously, I'll ask permission first. Let's go back to the beginning. Where did you go to school?
Landrake, Sir Robert Jeffrey Primary School.
Was it Sir Robert Jeffreys then?
Yep, it was. Yep.
And what were you like?
What was I like? Short and tubby. I have to... I
meant personality, but I'm guessing that's going to be bubbly.
I was very shy. I wouldn't actually, believe it or not, very shy. I was very... Unfortunately, my mum died when I was 4. I spent a lot of time with my nan and granddad on the farm. And I was very, very shy. And I got spoiled with sweets and everything, compensate. But I had a pretty good life on the farm. And still shy, even at 16, 17. But always never wanted to get married. Horses were my life. But I ended up getting married at 19. So that all went out the window, didn't it? But yeah.
Was that with John? That's okay.
Yeah,
just
they're
just
nice.
thought I better double check.
Yeah, I've been nearly 48 years this year.
What's the secret?
Don't see him very much, don't work, so we can't fall out.
It's avoidance. Avoidance. I wonder what he would say.
He'd say, no, he'd say, because I don't say nothing. I let her, if he lets me know I'm boss, that's how it works. But I know I am the boss, so that's fine.
So where did you go to secondary school?
So that's comp.
Oh, did you?
Yep, so that's comp. And I should have really stayed until my A levels, but I left, done some GCSEs, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Well, first of all, I wanted to be a vet, but then I thought I'd bring home no lot and end up having a zoo. I liked hairdressing, but I thought that wouldn't pay very much. So I ended up, believe it or not, working in the co-op, so that's co-op, in the offices, the accounts.
No way. What, at the top?
Yeah, I'm top in the office.
Yeah.
I didn't know. All I wanted to do was to be a shop assistant. I went in. They said, we've got qualifications. Come up in the office. So I was there for nearly 8-9 years until Kate, our oldest, was born.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I had no idea that you worked in co-op.
Yeah, worked up. Yeah, done the accounts, wages, and everything. And actually, yeah.
And
that seemed very ironic with sums because I failed my maths O-level 3 times. Didn't bring news this. It was good.
Did you grew up? You had your dad? Yeah,
I had my dad. So my dad went off the rails a bit when Mum was born. He was there. He married again because he wanted a mum for me, but that didn't work out after, because then I had 2 brothers, Glenn and Matthew. But sadly that didn't work out. And then he married again, Jean, who they shared the pub life together. They were very, very good as a team. But I won't say too much about that. My dad from the farm liked the pub, and he was a publican. And then, bless him, we've had like a bait of 20 odd years when he was up there when the girls growing up. And sadly, he didn't really want to know my girls because the pub life come first, and so much families. But I got reunited about 8 years ago, and then looked after him till sadly I lost my dad in November. Just gone, and buried him this year. But
I'm so sorry.
that's all right. He made 93.
Yeah.
And he's out of pain.
Because we were meant to do this before Christmas, weren't we?
Christmas, but then Dad had, he had his birthday on the Friday and he died on Monday. But he
was holding on for that. He just wanted he wanted a bit of cake.
Yeah, he did. He did too. I made him a cake and he ate a piece and he had me, and I was absolutely gutted. Yeah, that's the last cake I'd ever make him. Bless him.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
Along this time as well. Now, I forgot to mention that you are also a bit of a cake connoisseur, bit of a Mary Berry.
Oh, I don't know about that. So I started making the odd cake when I was 17, 18. Somebody asked me to do a wedding cake. Oh my God. Make these roses. It took me all day to make 8 roses. I can make 8 roses in less than an hour now. So then it just word of mouth. So I was working, I had the girls young, and I remember having Kate, Elisa was 18 months old between my round it, and I was doing wedding cakes, the stage where I was doing 4 a month. And then I had to sort of give it up a bit because I was getting frozen shoulder, but still done it. And I kept making cakes and novelty cakes, wedding cakes. Love doing it. It's time consuming. I mean, I could be up to 2 o'clock in the morning, now to go to Waitrose at 5 o'clock. But I gave it up about 5-6 years ago because of Dad. I'd still do the odd one for some people special, but...
Thought it was because you peaked mine and Liz's wedding.
Oh,
so that you were like, do you know what? It's not going to get any better than this.
No, it was a lovely cake, wasn't it?
It was a lovely cake.
Lovely cake. It
was fantastic.
Yeah.
So when did you start at Waitrose? Because obviously that's how I first met you.
Waitrose, I think now older was there. Lisa was 84, and it was 93. Lisa was started part-time on the deli, then got promoted to second.
Yeah.
So I was in charge of when managers. There's always first and second. I can't remember what they used to call them now. My goodness me, it just shows I've been gone 7 years. And then after 2 or 3 years, I went to fruit and veg. They never had a manager, and I ran that for a couple of years until we had Mr. Potts come. But I mean, in that time, I had the best wastage results and everything else. And then, worked on fruit and veg. Loved that, probably. But I have got a fractured coccyx for the last 14 years, which is now beginning to heal, but I still have to go to the chiropractor every fortnight.
How did you do that?
Bit of fooling around, even lifted. But Richard, if you'll listen to me, he lifted me up and then he dropped me on the concrete and the fruit and veg at the back, my leg up like that, and I couldn't move. And got carted off hospital. And I was off sick for 6 weeks.
I don't know.
Well, you would know Richard Potts. He was the one that come from Tavistock. Bless his cotton socks. I did. That's how it happened. So all right in these years, Liverpool off yours. No, boss, up then dropped me on the concrete.
And you didn't bounce.
Yeah, of course, lifting. I've done a lot of lifting, didn't I? Fruit and veg, so I come off that on my non-checkout. So sorry to say, I hated that. Went back on fruit and veg with Chris, CCB, which I absolutely love and love him too.
That was where I sort of stepped in.
Absolutely, and I loved it. And then when Mr. Parker said, because I wanted to start studying for my counselling, and this is when he said that you really need to step down from assistant section manager, do horty. Thought absolutely fine, and I enjoyed that. And flowers, we had the best sales. Absolutely loved the flowers.
Did that for as long as I know.
Yeah, I went to Paul Garner's wedding last year, and seeing Paul and they asked me to come back. I said, well, I noticed that's going down now. But that was the good old days, wasn't it?
It was, and we had such a good bunch.
We had a lovely bunch.
Throughout the sort of like 5 years.
And I like to think that you were very high. At least then I fought your case, and we were like a team, and I had a lot of empathy, a lot of you, and I would stand up for you anybody.
Yeah,
I've had many a row with the manager.
How much stick we gave you, Dolly. I mean, and you gave it as good back.
Yep.
But it was it made work fun. It made me want to go to work because I knew I'd be having fun whilst getting the job done.
I don't know if you ought to say this really, but were you there with Alex doing the dairy, and then we were doing something with Alex and Matt Rawlins? And we were talking about pasties. Were you there that day?
Well, I was going to come on to this. I wanted to learn a little bit about your terminologies.
Well, the pasties, you see, to me, 4 inches over each side plate. And I am very naive. Well, it still was at the time. You a lot thought it was hilarious because we always call that, as my sister looked at, we call these pasties a growler. So Matt Rawlins and Alex nearly wet themselves, stuck their heads in the freezer, went out, and then I was then told what the actual meaning of that was. Say it.
You talking about your lovely tasting growlers?
I won't tell you what it really means, but I'll never forget that as long as I got a password.
Yes, I remember that. And to the point now where I still call it a growler.
Do you?
And people look at me and go, "What the hell did you just say?"
No.
Do you even know why you call it a growler?
We know that because it's been known that for the last 45th, that's what he's called. But I don't think John's sister would even know what that meant either.
It's probably just been passed out with it. Are there any other terminologies throughout the years? Because you said I was on a sticky wicket once.
Sticky wicket? Yeah, they never heard that.
I've never heard of that before.
Where's rocking or shit?
What?
Where's rocking or shit? I never heard that. John said that. And then quite often John would say he's about as much use as a flipping chocolate fire guard. And I go, see, I did used to make you laugh.
Oh, you still do. You make people smile. You really do. Waitrose was done. I'm really glad that was quite a short bit as well, because so much happened in between and throughout those years, didn't it?
Yeah, I had some stuff, and a lot of reasons we won't go into is what I retired early because something went on I didn't like.
Yes.
And then I resulted in that, come out of that, and then I ended up, shortly after that, I started having pressures in my back, went to the doctors because I thought I was having a heart attack. And I am now on heart medicine.
No way.
Yep. I've got a narrowing of one of the arteries, so I have to have this medication, but they said it is stress that done it. Getting older, but stress. And I think a lot of that went on the last 12 months of Waitrose as well. Done that, but put it all behind me now.
It's so sad that...
It's some people that do that. I mean, I spent 24 years of my life and I've got accused of something, even from one... Shouldn't say that. I'm not going to be accused of something I didn't do, and they didn't trust me. I've been there...
No. I don't know about you, but I kick myself that I let somebody make me feel that way.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But trouble is when you're in that place and you get that and think, do you know what?
Well, it's like a cult, isn't it? You think there's nothing else and everything revolves around it. And it's so weird.
Well, I was just say, I used to come in such a state. And do you know what Kate said? Mother, it's only a flipping shop and put baked beans on the shelf, and I'll never forget that. And that's when I think, you're spot on, Mum.
What did you do? Because you were already, obviously, you were doing like counselling. Okay.
Gradually getting my qualifications. 4, 5, so I got diploma in therapeutic counselling. I've got level 5 cognitive behavioural therapy. That's very good for working with young people. And then I got diploma in post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, amazing.
So I now want to do suicide next. But I am passionate for bereavement. When I went, started the counselling, and then I had to do you had to do 200 hours voluntary. And then what I done, and then worked with young people from 10. My youngest one was 10. My oldest client has been 70.
No way.
And I had that through COVID. But then I worked for Cruise for 2 years, but didn't work, voluntary.
Yeah.
And then all sorts then. And then I trained to be cruise supervisor and done that as well. And work with children. Because obviously being bereaved myself. And that's why when I done the post-traumatic stress disorder, I found I'm suffering from that as well. Especially my dad.
Yeah.
So you can relate to that, but absolutely love it. And you can never, but bereavement, loss is, I think a loss is a loss of anything. And it's the top of the iceberg, because a loss can be divorce, it can be a painful situation, but it's always at the root, and that's why.
Yes. So it's not. Yeah. So it's not just death. That's weird. I wouldn't have thought, because you don't think about that sort of thing.
You don't. I mean, when I first started, young people, I would say out of all the young people that I'd done, and I used to counsel between 10 and 21-year-olds, I would say 85% of them self-harmed. A lot of them cut their wrists, and you can't say, oh, don't stop it. You don't.
Yeah.
You got, funny enough, I had a client come in the other day who'd done that, and he thought I was going to tell him to stop it. And I said, no, you just make sure that you address it. And then we work through it that way to see what causes it, because there's always a root, and you'll often find between 0 and 2 years is the most crucial time of your life.
Lord.
It's what stems. And a lot of it is families. Sadly, today's a lot of broken families, new parents. If the family does something, that child will grow up thinking it's normal. And the trouble is, as generations go on, that's what the young people know.
Having two
Yes.
that were under 2 that have now just crept over that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what damage have I done to Lyra?
Whatever you do, and and it's difficult. And I will say to a lot of people, families you don't get on, please do not stay together for the sake of the children, because you don't realise how much damage you're doing.
Yeah.
The arguments and everything else.
Oh, it's just horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But it's not.
It is.
These people don't often realise they're doing it.
No, you don't.
They're not intentionally
They don't.
harming
They
their
probably
children.
torment themselves.
Because
they've had, and I've read into them a body language, and I'm thinking, I wonder what happened to you when you were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And this is when it all stems back.
See, that's interesting, because obviously I've spoken with hypnotherapy who talk about the present to future, but in your study, in your practitioner?
Yeah. In my practice, with that. Yeah.
You go back as far as you can go.
Yeah.
To try and dig out something.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that equally, just depending on what suits the person, there are things that can help, like either way? It's incredible.
We use things like, CBT is very good, but we use diagrams, so you can do like a lot of young people. So I'll say, give them some homework. So we do a life snake. So we do a snake. Right, you start 1 2-year-old, and you put up there, and you put all the good things up the top that's happened to you, and then you put all the things on the bottom that's happened to you. The most popular diagram that I do with my young people, old people, anything, is the vicious flower.
What's that?
So the vicious flower, you draw a circle, and you put in there what's actually bothering you, and all the petals are all the things that are making you feel like that. And then we work through each individual petal to try and get to some sort of, to move forward. For bereavement, you will never get over that, but the hole goes smaller, so you grow your life around it, and you learn to manage it.
Yeah, because that's another thing that I've mentioned several times.
Yeah.
And I know, you going into suicide.
Yeah.
Those people, from my experience, they don't want to manage it anymore. What do you do about that?
When I was trained to be counsellor, my tutor said, some you can't help.
Right, okay.
I've learnt that.
Yeah.
I had on the end of a phone that phoned me at 5 o'clock one morning, say he was going to commit suicide. What do? I managed to meet him for coffee and referred him to a mental health team, because you can only do so much.
Of course.
As a counsellor. And he sought help. But the thing is, and I know we've had a friend that committed suicide, and it's all pre-planned. And unfortunately, the people that really do it, you can't stop them anyway. And it's sad to hear that. My neighbour's father-in-law worked for the Coast Guard to a point. They had a 21-year-old who tried to drown herself 4 days running. They drag her out, takes her to A&E. Then she come back, but she succeeded in the end. It's sad, unfortunately.
Yeah, what goes wrong in that situation, if you don't mind me asking, or just your opinion? Because where does the responsibility lie?
Good question. I mean, there's so many like it now, but there's nowhere like me for them to go, because, and then we go on to this, counselling now, you can pay anything. Unless you go on the NHS, we've got to wait like 6 weeks. I don't know, I presume. I've been told it's 3 years.
I was going to say, I think it's longer.
Yeah, it is now. They start between £35 and £55 an hour. I'm sorry, you know, how the white man can afford that. Money probably is at the root of a lot of their issues. And this is why I have decided not to charge. I will give up to my afternoons a week. But what I do ask, you put a donation in, because then it can go towards...
That is incredible.
I'm quite willing to help people.
That is so selfless, like genuinely admirable. Yeah. Are there more people like you? Just not enough? Or, is it pretty much?
Most people, we were told when you're turned to counsellor, oh, you'll have a paid job. And most people who do the counselling like to be paid. Yeah, we get that. I mean, our pension age and stuff. And I think, well, if I can't give back and help somebody, that is sad, because, I get great pleasure in helping people and trying to get them to go forward. So that's why I'm quite happy to give up my time and do that. And I'm still studying, but there's a lot of people out there that do need help.
Is there a part of you just wanted to keep going and keep your mind ticking? Because you've always been busy. You've been
busy.
You're the busiest person that I've ever met in work.
I like studying, but I do think people don't talk to each other anymore. The social, phone, everything. And there's no people out there. I mean, this is what I was saying to you about, I'd like to perhaps have one afternoon a week and get half a dozen unpaid carers out. We got fantastic views, picnic, just so everyone can talk to each other in the same boat. Yeah. Actually having to pay anything, that is my goal.
I think it's fantastic.
That's my goal, really.
When you said the youngest person is 10, how do they find you? I usually do this much later on in the episode, but I just how do they?
It was new to me to start with, but the thing is, a 10-year-old, they come in thinking, because their boyfriend's packed them up, it's the biggest problem, that to them, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Some, I'm not saying all, some young people live in a bubble.
Yeah, of course.
And they live for today. And, and I keep thinking, you wait to puke, see nothing that. But to them, that's important. That 10-year-old, that's important.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of children that's bereaved. And I know this thing like Jeremy's journey and things like that help, and hopefully they can. But is there enough? Because at the end of the day, a lot of children suffer because if a parent's lost one, they get wrapped in their own world. And I quite understand that. And the little one gets excluded.
It's contagious as well, isn't it? We said this before, you want to be around to support that person, but you've also got to look after yourself to a point, because else it just it's a domino effect, isn't it? It
is. You go walk with them. You can never say you cure it. You've got to help. Carl Rogers is the therapeutic counsel model that we done, and he always said that each human being inside us, we know what we need to get where we want to get, but some need a little help.
Yeah.
And it's very true. We're quite strong, but we just need help. Some people can get on more than others, but it's I have to look at myself, so I have to have supervision.
I was going to say, how do you self-care? I
used to belong to BACP. I don't now, but I mean, they used to reckon that the governing body for
okay.
Cancer. But I've got a supervisor, and you're supposed to, every 8 hours you're supposed to have supervision yourself, just to make sure that some things can affect you. A lot of it can. I mean, I've seen life, but I did, when I was with Cruz, I worked with one lady who lost her daughter to cancer, and that really got to me, seeing I had children.
Yeah.
And I worked with her, instead of 6 weeks, I worked for her for 3.5 months. And it was, to bring her out of it to a better place was brilliant. But my God, I'd go in that car and sort my heart out, because I'm only human.
And I think that's why it's such a unique job.
Yeah.
Because it's there with the undertakers, and do you know what I mean? I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I mean in terms of the level of depression and worse that you're dealing with. How do you get up? Other than, I suppose it's the helping bit that you just, because you're stronger than anyone if you can deal with that day in, day out. Because most people,
I think it's because, and I'm not disrespectful to any young, if you're going to see somebody that's not that old thinking, well, what have you got experience? I think life experience. I don't think I could have done this 20 years ago because you need the experience. So, I mean, I've been through, loss, bereavement. I can't even think of all the things I've been through that. And of course, having children, a grandparent as well. I mean, you name it. We've been nearly bankrupt. Honestly. So all those problems, I get that. I really do understand because a lot of them, and I can't say, I met a lady in Waitrose and I was doing the flowers. She lost her son. Son died in a car accident. And she looked with some flowers. She said, my son died. And I said to her, I am so sorry. It must have been awful, but I can't tell you. I wouldn't know how you feel. And she said, you were the first person to say that because most people say loss. Oh, well, I know how you feel. No, you don't, because everything's different. And since then, we've been friends because I couldn't tell her how she feel. Even though if I've lost a son, she lost a son, it could be completely different.
It's funny because of all the customers that you could have talked about, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? That we see thousands of people go through that door over that time.
Absolutely.
But as soon as you said that, I knew exactly the lady. Yeah. I can hear her voice when she phones up to ask whether the certain flowers were in. And
because she said that, because no, people don't know, and you have to pick your words, and I am always like that. I can empathise with you I always say to a certain extent, and if I'm counselling somebody here and I'll say, I'll share something with you. We always tell you don't share, but you need to share because you're in a relationship. You're in a relationship with your client and you'll be honest and truthful. But I will say, I'll share something with you, but it's my stuff, not yours.
Yeah.
And you have to make that quite clear.
Do you think it's a benefit to have experienced all that stuff then to be able to speak with people on such a broad level? Because you don't specialise in just at the elderly, the retired, or just the young, whereas so many people do go down certain avenues, don't they?
Yeah.
But you just cover everything.
Everything. Any age.
Are there any trends? Is there any trends that have changed during your time? Sorry, that's a bit of a vague question, but do you know what I mean?
I do find there's a lot of 19, 20-year-old males, and I don't know what it is. It's not drug relation. I think it's pressure. It's the social times that we're living in. But a lot of young males, I would say, at the moment.
Do you think their seeking help has risen and it was already there? Or do you think the world we're living in now is creating them to feel that way?
People will not ask. I mean, even I did. You see, people often think counselling, they think, oh my God, no, I'm being mental. I'm not going to have
I was hoping for a couch to lie on.
Oh, I never think of counselling. I like to think like it's a talking therapy.
Yeah.
Because that's better. I mean, a lot of people used to think it's weird, and a lot of males, unless a friend will say, look, I think you need to go and speak to somebody. Oh, yeah, well, I might. It's making that initial move to do that. And when they come here, because when the last one I come here, I say, my God, you're still laid back. I said, yeah, because that's what I am. And that's what it is.
That's what I really like about people who've studied the psychologies and stuff. They're not letting the small things bother them is incredible. For somebody who lets all the small things bother them and tries really hard not to.
I know. I mean,
you're so laid back.
I've always got rubbish going on in my life. But actually, you put things in perspective. People always will.
I don't remember a time when you haven't had some sort of I don't mean a drama in you know what I mean?
It's always
like a crisis, something going on.
Yeah.
But you've always got a smile on your face.
I know, but you imagine a lot of people like that. And the trouble is, sometimes one comes one, and some people are not strong enough to deal with it because if you have not got a network, a support like family, good friends, I've got cancer friends, good friends to talk to, that's when sometimes you can get in trouble.
And I think what's difficult as well, particularly in males, is where's the place that males predominantly talk? It's a pub, which involves alcohol. And if you're trying to lay off the juice because you think that's making you worse, but the only way to talk to somebody is by going to a pub, you're in a vicious cycle. I think that must cause so many problems because there isn't anywhere, because I love blokes talking to blokes, but because I'm quite a softie, I don't like talking about tits and arses. Those are up here for. I want to get into a conversation, and where do you do that? Do you know what I mean? Where do you?
The pub used to be the social hub of any village.
Yeah.
But I do find there's a lot of angry people in this world now. And a lot of youngsters, everyone's got to rush in and they're always angry.
Yeah, the violence, I mean, just in...
It's just, but for why? Why are they angry?
Yeah, just think times are tough.
You can tell that by driving on the road.
Yeah.
They're just angry all the time.
Times are tough, and we need more people like you.
Unfortunately, we do. But there again, you see, it's costly to get yourself through exams, through diploma. And then...
Are there bursaries available or no?
I had so much for so I did mine through the Educare Board, but I think it's all different now. Okay. I know somebody who said he was going to get a job, and I said, well, I can tell you, no, you're not guaranteed it, and she'd give that up.
So the system's making it difficult to get into.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just said to Don days, we had a field, a farmer's daughter, and I said, do you know what? I want to build a cabin, and I want to bring people out here. I know I might be in the sticks a bit, and I always say I'm between the scores, some fashion Callington, but if you can get out here.
It is lovely. But also, you know, it's just so sad that, like, if somebody came, you know, if a budding therapist wannabe came and said that, please help me, unless you actually physically gave them money, that's the only real way to help them. They can't go off and do their own thing. It's not like me, who I can make up podcasts as I go along. Yeah. Don't need qualifications for this level of therapy.
No. Because if you are qualified as a psychotherapist, you cannot be a counsellor. You have to go back and start one as a counsellor because it's different.
Wow. What is the future looking like for you then? Are you content with...
I'm just quite content in this because I don't depend on this for a living. I just want to help people. And there's lots of things, like say, there's like LiveWire, there's things that they can go to, which is the younger ones. So what about the poor person who's just lost her husband? Or about that's lost a child? I mean, there is bereavement support, but is there enough of us to be able to do this? And a lot of them are time limited, like 6 to 8 weeks. I can just do whenever. There should be a lot more, but the trouble is people have to do it for a living and it costs money. And people who really, really need it, one, if you're really in such a way, got self-harming, you ain't getting any money anyway, are you? And money is a root of a lot of things. Money is a cause of stress, anger, and a lot of things.
Yeah, and it forces you to do things that you don't want to do.
Exactly. So how are they going to be able to afford that? You know. So you think a chance. Chance in that. No chance in that.
So where I'm at, where we are as a family at the moment, Liz is looking for a job.
Yep.
She's so highly qualified.
Yep.
Yet nobody will have her because she's overqualified.
I know. Don't make sense, does it?
It makes no sense. But because of the nursery bills, she's being forced to do a job that she doesn't really want, that she's probably not going to feel passionate about, which is going to naturally create bad feeling. Where it's just endless, isn't it? But what do you do?
Until you find something else, and the trouble is, right, unfortunately, it's just, you're stuck.
Have you got any self-care tips for anybody listening? Some things that just to think about, just to keep yourself ticking over nicely. So you're not talking about therapy, I'm just saying, just to keep yourself under the level.
If you're feeling really like that, write it down. Quite often, writing everything down how you feel gets it all out. What I used to do, and we used to recommend, write it all down and then just send it down the river.
Yeah, burn it, do it, yeah.
Burn it and just, and then it does good to talk. If you've got a friend or anything that you can just talk, it helps.
Yeah.
It won't take it away, but it absolutely probably shares the problem half. If you can. And then if you can't find anybody, come and see me. Honestly, if things are really, really bad, it is good to write down. You can take a time out. Just can't conquer. Just walk anywhere nice. It's just do a technique. And then you just sort of have to read self-imagery and just relax and just imagine where you were. And going up a coaster path or something like that and just imagine the beautiful place and what you see and just try to help if it can help.
In terms of all your different qualifications.
Yeah.
So how is going at like a PTSD sufferer different to, or speaking with somebody who suffers a bereavement, for example? Is it different?
Yeah, so post-traumatic stress disorder, obviously you'll think of forces.
Yeah.
Could be anything. Loss, so you've got the ambulances, you've got emergency services. Let's say my dad had lost, and you do get that. So say, for example, we have come in the forces. Now, a lot of them is what they've seen over there. And they could be living it. So you could be out with somebody out there. Something goes bang. They think something's happened. They'll go to ground.
Yeah.
You don't say to them, what the hell are you doing? you go down with them. You actually go beside them. You could go on the ground and lie them and think it's a bomb coming over, and you try and talk them out of it. And that's the only way, because you never get over that.
It's like hypnosis, isn't it?
To manage it. So you go with them.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. But it could be a number of things. You look at the traits, the anger, and you can see that. But then it makes you understand why that person's so angry in the first place. Because I get that. Because usually you go, there was no help. Like my dad, he has such a temper. I mean, but then I could understand that, because there's no counselling when Mum died, and he worshipped the ground my mother worked on. His traits now, all these years, you can see what he's never talked about my mum until the last 10 months.
Wow.
To me, he's upsetting that much to talk about her. So, yeah, and that's different things. There's different stresses of PTSD, but quite often a lot of the PTSD, like you have for emergency services, can be horrific. Because I know somebody that's suffering it now, and he's had help with the forces and that, but you don't forget it. But you manage it. And a lot of these things, you try and manage it. It never goes away.
Managing techniques. Soon that becomes normal to manage it. Yeah. So you don't even realise you're doing it. It's like driving a car. It's good to know, isn't it? Like, surely. There's so many different, call this helpline, things now. Who are the people on the other end of the phone?
They are trained volunteers. You've got the Samaritans. I don't know exactly, because obviously not in Samaritan. I don't know what they're actually training, but it's like everything. They would have some sort of their own training. Probably they have helped a lot. I mean, I used to work for some how can you see how a person is? You've got to read their body language. Yes, it might help. But if that person, as I said, they're going to commit suicide, you can't stop them. If you've got them in a room and they start then, at least then you could sort of determine. Yeah. But you need to see that person. That's why I believe in face-to-face.
Yeah, I understand. And with the suicidal aspect, what role do you play in that therapy? Sorry, I've just got...
I've never really come with her. First thing, and always say, when people are really down, I always ask the client, have you ever had any suicidal thoughts?
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, yeah, I might have had one, but not now. If I think that there's anything, and this is when you have a contract at the start, because you say everything in the room is confidential, but if I think that you are capable of harming yourself, then I do go out the box, and I will, and that's how I have the doctor details.
So it's like an oath, almost.
Yeah, because they cover yourself, but you're actually telling that person that if I think that you're that, then I will.
No, that's really good. Because hopefully you understand my question. Because it's like somebody who is suicidal, they probably don't get to you without reaching out. You know what I mean? That's a massive step, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I can't say that I'm going to help them. But if I think it's really bad, and then you do refer them to the mental health team, because they are more qualified than we are. But you'll probably find a lot of people have suffered because they've had a loved one that's already committed suicide. And that must be really hard too.
So they link to one another. So a bereavement can cause that. Yeah. PTSD could cause and then oh my Lord.
Oh yeah.
And you've got not that I was going to say all the answers. That's complete bullshit. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. You've got all this up here. How often do you have to refer back to like notes or like training stuff?
I do sometimes. If I'm thinking, cause I did the day, I thought, CPT, and I'm going to have a look. And then I thought, do you know what? I don't need this. It's all in there because it's training and it's automatically loads of government dialogue. And I will go back over the PTSD sometimes because, I mean, it does good to go back over your note. But I mean, because we do it so long, it's ingrained.
Yeah. So
really, it comes quite natural.
I'm sure it doesn't for everyone.
No.
And where does technology play a role now? Because obviously there's so much information on the internet. So much information. So much misinformation, depending on what side of the room you're on. Is it helping? Is it hindering? What is it doing?
How can you look online? Well, I don't feel very well because if I've got something wrong with me, John gives me A's. You're in that blimmin' thing again. Well, I said, I could have got this and that. Oh, I think, no, do you know what? No. And how can you tell? How can a few notes tell you what that person's feeling?
Yeah.
Talking. That's what I'm saying. That's why we're staying, because we just don't talk to each other anymore.
I think that's why I quite enjoy doing the TikTok lives and this. Yeah. Because TikTok lives, you get complete strangers writing a message to you, not all nice, because you've always got your own bellends, idiots.
You call it bellends? Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
But then some people are just like, how's your day going? I'm like, mine's really good. How's your day? Yeah, so, we have a bit of a chat, even though it's my face.
See, I see sometimes and I'll say, do a liar, all right? Yeah. Liar. No, you're not. I can tell, because I can read your body language and know exactly. Funny.
What is it in body language that you pick up on then, do you think? Are there any
It's the
secrets?
facial, it's the eyes. The eyes. The
I
facial
think
expression
the
is
eyes tell everything,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah.
Dolly, thank you so much.
You
for
are
this.
very welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Honestly, I've loved it, and I'm sorry for asking so many questions.
No.
I find it so interesting. I just think it's brilliant what you're doing. I will make sure all your stuff, all your links, anything you want is put on the description. And for anybody out there who might be struggling, put me a message. I will respond. It might not be straight away, but I will.
Because I say, I've got a horse here. I'd like to have another horse here. I think animals are very therapeutic. The last 2 clients I've had, I had to go over and stroke the horse, and it's lovely. And you can actually go take the horse out for a walk if you want to. And we can do a talking therapy. Because we've got lovely country lanes up here, and there's nothing better than walking and talking.
Walking and talking.
Absolutely.
Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode.